last time you had the fluid in why you should make it a priority sooner rather than later. And our Monday Morning Mechanic, David Rogers, is here with an entire transmission cut in half. Hi, David.
Hi there. How are you?
Good, thanks.
For 2 years, I've been trying to get one of these, so
really?
I can show it to you.
Okay.
I finally did. You know, the big secret here, Natalie, is fluid. The fluid condition is key. This is good fluid. It looks like kind of like that old Vicks 44D cough syrup, and then this is bad fluid, and this is really bad fluid.
Oh, it's really bad.
Yeah, it's gone a long ways. And the real thing to understand here is that when the fluid changes, just a little bit of color or becomes a little bit more watery, then we're not lubricating properly, okay? Right. All the fluid sits clear down here in the very bottom of the transmission. If this were in your car, it would be in just like this. And the fluid's all down here. When everything's sealed up good, then it pushes the fluid up in between all these little moving parts.
It keeps them all moving nicely. Huh?
Exactly, and it keeps them from rubbing together, and metal on metal, as you know, can never be good. Now inside here, in between these clutches, what we have, these are all little clutch bands, all these little things, and they're everywhere. You can see them all along here. In between the metal ones, we have fiber, okay, and it's attached to that metal. When that fluid starts changing color, when it gets too warm, we start rubbing together, the fiber is going to scrape off all of this surface, and then the metal is going to meld together, and it's going to literally weld itself together. The thing to know about transmissions, you aren't going to get a warning. Okay, the only warning you have is the color of the fluid. This is why I tell people, don't go to fast oil change. Don't try to get it done in 20 or 30 minutes. Go to a real technician. Let him inspect everything. Let him pull these fluid samples and show you. Because just 20 degrees warmer, just 20 degrees, is going to cut the life in half of that fluid.
How often should you change the transmission fluid?
The way that I tell people is, number one, anytime the color's off of where it's supposed to be, I'm going to change mine. Okay? Because that unit...
So typically, does that happen after a year, 6 months, 3 months?
Good rule of thumb, every other year. But if it happens sooner, I'm going to change it anyway, because this unit's going to cost about $3,000 or $4,000.
You don't want to mess with that.
No, that's a lot of money. And a fluid change, you know, when we change the fluid, we're going to change this gasket on the pan and make sure everything's sealing well. Okay. We're going to take the filter out, put a new filter in. I mean, everything's going to flow better after you do that fluid, so it's not something to put off.
So the question to ask is, did you check the transmission fluid? Can I see the transmission fluid? You want to see that it looks like this and not like this.
And if you're in an ethical place, they'll let you watch them take that sample from your car so that you know that that's real.
All right.
Biggest, most important thing, get that fluid changed and keep that transmission running.
Save yourself a lot of money.
And don't walk in the snow, because you could smoke a transmission in 3 minutes.
Ew. Okay.
3 minutes, it gets hot.
Sounds like another topic for another day. David, thanks as always. We appreciate it.
Hey, this is Donnie Smith, and in this video we're going to learn how to change the transmission filter and fluid, and also we are going to learn who is the winner of this Craftsman tool set from last week's video. Now, if you're watching this and you like to learn how to do things, we don't do a lot of mechanical, but we do a little bit, you know, on the mechanical side, but more of the auto body paint, detailing type things. Be sure and share this with others. Now, I'm sure you have some friends that would also like to learn how to work on cars, spend some time in the garage, weekends in the garage, maybe working on the cars or as a family project. Well, maybe they don't have the skills or the knowledge, but you can be their resource. You can hook them up, send them these videos, have them subscribe to this channel, and they can thank you because they'll be out in their garage working on their cars. So be sure and share this video with others. You can also have them go to collisionblast.com. We have free hours of access. It's free to join. All you got to do is go there, subscribe for free, and you immediately get access to tons of videos. Okay, we're back on the Mustang project, and it was slipping real bad. You give it some gas and it slips in and out. That's an indication that the filter could be bad. I know in the past, years ago, had some Camaros that I worked on, and that was the case, and fixed them up, and you know that fixed the problem. So we're going to see if that fixes this problem, and we thought we'd share those steps with you. Like I said, I don't know everything about mechanical, but this is something pretty simple, and if you don't know, you know, this should help you out to be able to do this yourself. Well, that's enough talk. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, first thing we want to do to be able to gain access underneath the car is to jack it up. Need a little bit more room to be able to get under there to get at the transmission pan. And I think Jacob had his Red Bull today because he's sure in fast motion. If he'd work like that all the time, we'd be doing great. But you never want to trust the jack itself. You want to use jack stands. Never get under a car with only a jack under it. Always secure the car really good. And now what I'm showing is the the number of bolts on there, because that depends on which transmission it is and which gasket you're going to need. So what you need to do is go underneath there and count the bolts. On this 6-cylinder 66 Mustang, there's going to be 11, 15, or 17. This one had 11, and that's what you'll tell them at the parts store, and they can get you the right gasket and filter for it. Now, the thing about transmissions, and I don't know about all of them, but I remember in the old Camaros that I used to work on, and they do not have a drain plug like an oil pan. You're not going to be able to drain the fluid, with one bolt. So what you have to do to drain the transmission fluid is to actually loosen it up. And I'm going around each one to loosen it up. And a little trick about getting bolts off faster is, once you loosen them up, take the extension and socket off the ratchet and kind of use it like a screwdriver. That works in most of the things I do. If you're working around transmissions or oily things, it doesn't work as well. Your hands slip on it quite a bit, like right there. So, and again, I don't do a lot of mechanical stuff, so I kind of have to learn as I go, in these types of jobs. This is the first time I ever changed the transmission filter on a Mustang. So as I go through and change that, or loosen those, you can see that the fluid starts dripping. And I'm going to loosen one side more than the other because I want the fluid to go in one direction. You certainly wouldn't want to loosen them all at the same time and the fluid be coming off, all over. That would make a mess, even though I did kind of make a mess here. And something I didn't do but that I'd recommend, is wearing some type of gloves, so you don't get that all over your hands like I did here. And another thing, if you're going to be changing in the wind, it's going to blow your transmission fluid a little bit. So make sure that you adjust your drain pan, so that the fluid does fall into the pan and doesn't get on, the cement. So you just basically have to sit there and, let it drain out. And then once it's finished draining, you can go ahead and remove the pan. Now still, I'm going to take one side off, leaving a bolt on the other side on, so it doesn't all fall out at one time, or so the fluid will drain to one side. Okay, now I've got them all loose, and you can see how I drop it there, and the fluid in the pan comes out. Now I'm going to take that other bolt off, and I'll go ahead and drop the whole pan. Remember, there's 11 bolts in here. They're 1/2 inch. I'm using a 1/2 inch, an extension, and a ratchet. Got them all loose. Now I'm going to drop the pan, and I'm going to set it down in the drain pan. Now here's a little tip I learned watching YouTube and pass it along to you. But after you have your pan off, you want to inspect it real close, and if that has ever been over tightened at the bolt holes, it's going to put a mound there, a high spot. And if it does that, you're going to have a problem with it leaking, and you'll have to hammer and dolly it straight. So be sure and inspect that and make sure there are no high spots, and all the top of the pan is nice and level. Okay, now we're going to remove the filter, and there's 9 bolts holding that in. Now the very front one here, it's a 7/16 bolt, and we're going to take it out. And the other 8 are 5/16. Now why that one is bigger than the others, I'm not sure, but I'm going to take these other, I'm counting them out here. There's 8 other bolts here that you'll need to remove that is a 5/16.
5/16, is that right?
So I'm going to remove those. And I kind of go around it, loosen them all to begin with, and I'm going to take it off and even use my hand to take them out. It kind of gets a little bit slick to use it like a screwdriver, but it still works. Works a lot better for auto body where your hands don't get so greasy, oily. Okay, now I'm got them all out. Now I'm going to drop the filter.
I think the problem, something may be wrong with the transmission. Gasket coming off.
And now I'm taking the gasket off. Sometimes this may require a scraper, and this one came off really easy, which surprised me. Sometimes they're stuck on there, but this one came off real clean. Now I'm just cleaning the area that the gasket goes onto. And again, sometimes you may have to get a scraper to actually scrape some of that gasket off. Now I'm getting the new filter, transmission filter, and I'm installing it. First I'm just going to go through and hand tighten the bolts to get them, to get it set and on there. And then whenever I go to tightening, I just don't want to tighten one in as tight as I'll go. I'm going to snug them all up. And I'm also going to use, every time I put something on, whether it be a wheel or something like this, I'm going to use a cross technique, where I go across, kind of a star technique back and forth. That way you don't get one side tighter than the other. Okay, now I've got the pan on. Now, apologize, I had to get my camera guy there to help put that on so the gasket didn't move around. And you can also use grease or something to help put the gasket onto the pan so it doesn't slide around. But we put it up there, and again I'm using that star motion here where I'm kind of going back and forth, trying to tighten them evenly, where I'm not tightening one end from the other. And another thing you want to remember, there's a gasket involved here, so you just don't want to crank down as tight as you can and get this real tight, or else you're going to mess that gasket up. Okay, we got the gasket on. Now we're going to add transmission fluid, and this required a type F transmission fluid. So we're going to put 4 quarts on. We're going to put 4 quarts in. We're going to start the motor to let it warm up, see if it's leaking, recheck the fluid level, and add if we need to add more. And that's pretty much all it takes to change the filter.
Slowly. A little slower maybe. Might overflow the top.
Again, I'm not a mechanic, but figure these things out on my own. I'll pass them along to you.
So that wraps up the video on changing transmission. See, I told you it wouldn't be too bad. It's a pretty simple process. All the ones I've done, which not a whole lot, but these and the Camaros, they're about the same. So anyway, if you have a weekend and you're needing this done, there you go. That should give you some of the tips that you need to do this. Now, let's find out who the winner of this is. Now, last week I had you all vote on it. It was kind of a voting process where I had a lot of you go and vote on the best, and by liking it is how you voted on it, liking the comment on YouTube. And the one with the most votes won. This week's a little bit different. And I also want to commend you. We had 81 people to answer this question. And I thought I'd make it a little harder this week by putting in a trivia question, and did real well. Got 80 responses, but really the odds of that's pretty good. Consider playing the lottery. Of course, you're not going to win $1 million, but But hey, 81, that's good odds for you. I thought that was pretty good because you had to do a little research unless you just knew the answer. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick a random number, and then we're going to go down the list to that number, and whoever that is the winner. So what I've done, there's just a free deal. It's at this-play.nl. It's a random number thing. And we had 81 people, and it says to pick a number between 1 and 100. Well, we didn't have 100, so we're going to put 81 here. Okay, now all I'll do is hit the play, and it's going to randomly pop up a number. So who or what number is going to be the lucky number? I don't know if you can see that, but 60, number 60. Well, let's see who 60 is. And now I go over here, and the list is right here. It's not numbered, so I'm just going to have to count down. So bear with me just for a minute. I don't know what I can do. I can change this to show 50 rows, and I can count 10. Okay, so there's the first 50. We go to page 2, and I'll start with 51. Get a little bit easier. 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, and 60. And Shan Matt 06. Okay, Shan Matt 06 is the correct, is number 60, so they're the winners if I still got to verify they had the right answer. Shan Matt 06. Favorite hand tools, that is correct. So Shan, hope I'm not saying that wrong, Shan Matt 06 is the winner, and I also will get a hold of you via YouTube to let you know that you are the winner. So congratulations, Shan Matt 06, and thank you to all of you that provided. And I looked at the answers. I think there was 1 or 2 that was wrong. All the rest of the 81 of you got that right. So I commend you on that. Had to do a little research, and hey, most of you got it right. So that wraps up this video. Be sure and share this with your friends, someone who may enjoy doing this type of thing on the weekends. Like the Mustang, you know, it's a father-son project for us, and we have a lot of fun doing it. You know, share this with someone else. And remember, if something's worth doing, do your best and have a blast doing it. So subscribe, like this video, share it with your friends, and we'll see you next Tuesday.